Frozen, original motion picture soundtrack is the soundtrack to the 2013 Disney animated film, Frozen. The soundtrack features 10 original songs written and composed by Kristen, Anderson-Lopez and Robert Lopez, and 22 score pieces composed by Christophe Beck. It features the song Let It Go, which received critical acclaim, including an Academy Award win for Best Original Song and a Critics' Choice Award for Best Song, as well as a Golden Globe Award nomination for Best Original Song. 2 editions of the soundtrack were released by Walt Disney Records on November 25, 2013, a single-disc regular edition, and a 2-disc digipak deluxe edition. On October 21, 2013, the soundtrack's lead single, a cover of Let It Go by Demi Lovato, was released. Subsequent releases have been accompanied by foreign-language translations of Let It Go. The album received widespread critical acclaim from music critics and debuted at number 18 on the Billboard 200 chart. The soundtrack has topped the Billboard album chart for 13 non-consecutive weeks, and as of July 2014, it has sold over 3 million copies in the U.S. The album has been certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, and peaked at number 1 on the aforementioned chart, becoming the 4th soundtrack album from an animated film to reach that milestone. Track listing: all music composed by Kristen, Anderson-Lopez and Robert Lopez, Christophe Beck and acclaim. Chart and commercial success: as of July 17, 2014, the soundtrack for Frozen has had 33 consecutive weeks on top of Billboard Top Soundtracks. On the US Billboard 200, the album debuted at number 18, the highest chart position for the soundtrack in an animated film since the 2006 film Cars. It later moved up to number 10, becoming the 10th soundtrack from an animated film to reach top 10. The soundtrack subsequently moved to number 4, which is the highest position for an animated film soundtrack since Disney's Pocahontas in 1995. In the week ending January 5, 2014, Frozen reached number 1, surpassing Bianca Copywriter's self-titled album to become the 4th animated film soundtrack in history to reach this position. It remained at number 1 for a second consecutive week, becoming the first theatrical film soundtrack to stay at number 1 for multiple weeks since Dreamgirls in early 2007, and the first animated film to spend more than 1 week at number 1 since Disney's The Lion King in 1994 and 1995. With 13 non-consecutive weeks at number 1, Frozen earned the most weeks at number 1 for a soundtrack since Titanic in 1998. Frozen was the 5th best-selling soundtrack album in the U.S. in 2013 with 338,000 copies sold for the year. On January 5, 2014, it topped the iTunes chart at number 1 for album sales, selling over 165,000 copies. Frozen continued to be the best-selling album in the U.S. and the only album to sell more than 1 million units in the first half of 2014 with nearly 2.7 million units. The song Let It Go performed by Idina Menzel also finished at number 5 on the digital song chart with 2.8 million copies sold in the first 6 months of 2014. The soundtrack reached its 3 million sales mark in the U.S. in July 2014. Nearly half these were digital sales, making the album the best-selling soundtrack in digital history. An exclusive vinyl LP edition of the soundtrack was released in March 2014. Charts, album, tracks, certifications, references. External links: Frozen, original motion picture soundtrack at Disney.com.